I've been excited for this one for a while, man, because watching your fights and you kind of come up and you're one of the more exciting fighters that I've had the privilege to watch.
Oh,
Nice. It got me thinking, like, that's a bit of a weird thing to balance, I guess, being exciting and wanting to win, because they don't necessarily sometimes go hand in hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
For you, how do you kind of balance that? Because I know obviously you want to go out there, put on a good show and get that name recognition and brand recognition, but at the same time you're in there to win, and it might not always be the flashiest way to get that dub.
Yeah, I mean, part of being a showman is being able to go out there and put on an exciting fight. You know, at the end of the day, we're entertainment for the spectators, like as much as it is a sport. Like, we're there, like, we got to pack the seats, and it's like one way to look at it. Like, you want to make sure that people are excited to see you fight. You can't do that by being a boring fighter or being a point fighter or, you know, holding someone against the cage. Like, even with my contender fight where I was using a lot of my wrestling, a lot of cage work, like, I was still trying to stay as active as possible. Mm-hmm. And, you know, not just relying on the fact that I had the position on him and have that be enough, you know? So it's like, you kind of got to throw caution to the wind a little bit. You kind of got to be a little risky, but, you know, if you're an exciting fighter, I think they're always going to ask you to come back.
Yeah, for sure, man. And obviously, I mean, 2020 was a weird year for everybody for multiple reasons, but with there being no fans for the majority of that year, did that change your thinking at all heading into a fight? Did you feel that effect of there being no fans or no crowd?
I mean, the whole no fan aspect after the Zalal fight, you know, because when I fought on the contender, there was still a good amount of people in that arena, as small as it is. But after I fought Zalal, like, we got back into the SUV to go back to the hotel, and we just kind of looked at each other in the van, and we were like, man, that feels like we just went in and did a smoker. Like, we just did it like a crazy sparring session. That was so weird. And it was so surreal. But then, like, the second time around, I was kind of looking forward to it because you get to be incredibly present while you're doing it. Not saying that everybody would get distracted by a crowd, but, like, it's just you and him. You're not riding on the crowd. You're not riding on the cheers. You're on your own energy. You're not soaking anything up from the arena. So, like, that shit's for real when you know what I mean? Like, it's a different type of, like, alive.
Yeah. I mean, I think every athlete strives to be present in that moment and to block out all the noise, but it probably looks a little bit different for each athlete individually. For you, how do you know whether you are present or whether you're not present? Like, how do you know, okay, I got this, like, I'm present, I'm in the moment?
You know, it's just like, for me, over the years, I've learned to stay light, to stay calm and easygoing, like, keep laughing. Like, I coach, not to, like, go on a tangent, but I also coach high school wrestling. And the last head coach, one of my good friends that I worked underneath, he's going in the direction of sports psychology. So he's done a ton of research on how to keep athletes cool, calm, and, like, in the right state of mind to go compete. And we would implement it with our team. So when I would see it work there, I would implement it pre-fights, you know, just certain rituals to go through, certain things where, like, I think it's like, if you clench your left fist, it helps relieve tension, like, psychologically, for some reason whatsoever. I don't know what it is, but, like,
but it works.
It works, you know, like, stay light, stay, have fun, keep joking, keep the cortisol low, versus, like, when I was younger or just getting into it, like, I'd get all amped up and fight really angry and fight really mad. And I'd get out of the cage and I would, like, literally have blacked out 15 minutes of my life. And, you know, it would take people recalling very certain instances from my fights to come back to me. Now I'm trying to laugh and have a great time the whole way out to the cage, and then just have as much fun while I'm in there. You know, like, you can hear me talking to my coaches mid-fight, you know, when I'm in the middle of the cage going after Hooper, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I know I'm staying in the moment and just trying to enjoy myself, you know, because, like, if I can't have fun while I'm doing it, then, like, what's the point of doing it at all? You know, like, of course I want to be as best as I can be, but I don't want to be the best miserable motherfucker out there. Like, I'd rather go out there, have a blast, put on a good show, and know that, like, I just fought my ass off for 15 minutes versus, like, I think you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
No, I got you, bro. Yeah. And it's funny because, or interesting, I should say, not funny, interesting, because these topics of sports psychology, like you said, having fun and being present in the moment, those aren't limited to just sports. I think that's a good lesson for anybody in their life, right? Like if you're not having fun with what you do, you got to really reevaluate your time and make sure you're devoting as much time as you can to getting out of that so that you are doing the thing that is fun for you.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if you ask me what I do for a living, I tell you, I hang out with my buddies all the time. I get to smoke as much weed as I want, as long as I'm not fighting. I do jujitsu, and a couple times a year, I got to go beat somebody up. It's like, it's all about perspective. So like you get to make as much fun out of it as you want, or you gotta, make it as miserable as you want. But it's like the 6 inches between your ears that's kind of dictate how you view what you're doing.
For sure, man. And it does kind of sound like you went through some sort of a mental shift over the course of your career, how you talked about being amped up so much at the beginning and now being more calm and cool and just enjoying the process. Was there a specific point in your career, or maybe points in your career, where it kind of clicked into you that you had to kind of change your mindset and this is kind of the path you went down?
Yeah. So like I feel like I had a big breakthrough. My fight right before I got on the Contender Series, my last local fight against the kid, Zach DiSabatino. It was my last fight with Cage Titans. And I had just like come out of like a severe depression. I had been doing a lot of work with a therapist, and we went through some visualization, routines and practices to really help get myself present in the moment ahead of time. And when it came time to do it, I was so comfortable. We were just like, that was the first time I was really like laughing, joking, having a good time, being like completely present, not being worried about walking out to the cage, not being worried about, the door shut, not being worried about what's going to happen when the ref, starts the fight or whatnot. So, which a lot of people think about that stuff. And if anybody tells you that they don't, they're lying, or if they haven't at any point, they're lying. So like, just to be able to be there and just soak it in, not saying I'm not there to go kick someone's ass, but like just to enjoy that process as it's happening without like being so worked up I miss it. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that it kind of makes me think of what a lot of the kids that I've talked to, no matter the sport, mostly hockey up here, obviously in Canada, most popular sport. And they kind of have this perception that like professional athletes, that they're perfect and like their mindset is 100% perfect all the time. But kind of like you said there, everyone at one point or another has had those doubts or those negative thoughts. Right. And I think as you're doing a really great job, I know you've read a lot of your interviews too, where you really are a good advocate for coming out and speaking out about these topics and really pushing that narrative of, if you need the help, go seek the help. I think that's one thing I've really tried to drill into the heads of younger kids. Like these guys that you see on TV, like they may seem like superheroes to you, but they're just humans like you and I, and they go through positive and negative emotions as well.
Oh, most definitely. Like, so the last time I fought, I was walking in to get my PT done at the PI, and Tony Ferguson was finishing up right before I walked in, or right as I walked in, and I was like, hey man, I'm not trying to fanboy you, but I'm a huge fan of what you've done. Like I've watched you fight forever. Like I'm just happy to share this presence with you. Nice to meet you, dude. And he was like, oh, come over here, man. Let's take a picture, this, that, the next thing, no worries. I'll throw this up on my social media, da, 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 da. And he was just like a real humble dude. And it was super like refreshing to see that from such a high level, like performer, where some of the other guys I've met are like fucking A-type assholes through the roof. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even want to be around them because you can feel like you're like, just get away from me. Like, I don't want to be around you. Like, you're not the type of person I want to be around. Right. And he was just like super chill, down to earth, super humble. You know what I mean? Like very friendly. So that was nice.
It reminds me of the quote of like, you're the average of the 5 people closest to you. Mm-hmm. And so when you have people around you that have such negative energy, and then people think, why am I always, pessimistic, or why am I always down? Like, I think the first step people take is look at your inner circle and think about, how are they contributing to your life, and are they contributing to it positively or negatively? And perfect example there, like you said, I mean, Tony Ferguson, one of the coolest dudes, I'm sure, in the UFC, and just being beside him for that short amount of time and the impact and that his aura can have on somebody. Mm-hmm. For you personally, who are some of those kind of guys in your inner circle that either kind of really keep you in check mentally, or that you kind of really feed off of their positive energy?
Joe Lozon, he's awesome. You know, I don't. I spend a couple of days a week with Joe training when I'm like right now. I'm still nursing an injury, let my knee heal from the fight. But so I'm in the gym, but I'm not necessarily training as much as I would like to be, or as fully as I would like to be. But Joe's good to keep you on track. You know, like was on Thanksgiving. He texted me on Thanksgiving pictures of my last weight cut from over the summer and said, you know, when you sit down and have that plate, you just remember what's more important, that second plate of stuffing or feeling like this again. And I'm like, you know what? I needed that. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. You're looking out, buddy. I really appreciate you.
That's a good friend. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I got a lot of good, strong, positive people around me. My girlfriend being another one of them. I do a lot of listening to podcasts, to audiobooks. So I'm always like digging in to find out more about how to stay positive on my own and to kind of lead by example, you know, like it's so easy to get down on yourself where, you know, it's just, it's safer to get in the habit of being up on everything. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, just having like a gratitude practice, which I wish I was more religious with it or regular with it, but, you know, every once in a while, get one of those out helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure, man. And podcasts, I feel like have been some of those fundamental things to me to improving my mindset, whether it's sports, life, whatever it is. When I drive into work or I drive into practice, whatever it is, I throw in a podcast and it's just like, I have two choices in my head. I listen to music, which can be beneficial in its own right. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'll be listening to music that doesn't have that, you know, positive effect, for example, or I listen to a podcast. And even if I just take out one nugget from it, that's a better use of my 20 minutes than listening to Drake or something or Future. Or
yeah, absolutely. Oh, for sure. I have that same question, like that same thought process. Like, do I want to learn something new today or do I just need music to get me to training? And I'm like, usually it's the podcast or the audiobook.
Man, and I got to imagine as a professional athlete, especially in such a competitive company like the UFC, those are the questions you got to ask yourself every day and probably multiple times a day. Like, am I going to get better today or am I going to stay still? And I can't even imagine even myself kind of going through that pressure. I would definitely burn out pretty quickly. So I'm interested to hear how you kind of, or what your motivation is day by day for kind of staying on top of yourself and holding yourself accountable.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot easier when you have a goal at the end of the line, if you've got a fight booked, but like, you know, for me, since I've been able to get, you know, I've got like a strength and conditioning aspect of my physical therapy that I'm doing every day. A lot of it's body weight, but it's still like getting my knee moving, getting everything stronger. And I've been very regular, like I've been very disciplined with getting that done every day. And that's like one step closer to getting back into the gym full time. Whereas if I throw a knee brace on and I go to boxing and then I go to Muay Thai and then, you know, I go do my strength and conditioning, like that might last for a week or two, but my knee's not really ready for that yet. So it's just like, for me right now is having the discipline to not overwhelm myself. But as far as like, you know, when I'm healthy training, it's like, I live at, like if I could go to the gym and not leave there from like 9 to 5, I would, but I trained at a few different places. So I'm driving too much. So it's just like making sure I'm on time is my biggest discipline and not running late. You know what I mean? I'm always getting it. I'm hitting every session all the time. I'm not skipping my workouts. You know what I mean? I love this lifestyle, and this is like the dream that I've worked my ass off for. So it's like, I love every minute of it. I don't need any much more external motivation to stay training.
Right, man. That really brings me to a topic I love to talk about here, is that external versus internal motivation. And it's just crazy how much more powerful that internal motivation is. Even though I think for some people, there's an illusion that the external motivation is more powerful. Things like money, fame, social media, followers, likes, whatever it may be. I think the longer somebody's in the sport, career, lifestyle, whatever it is, the longer they're in it, the more important that intrinsic motivation is. Because that external motivation, like when you lose a fight, like that external motivation isn't there to continue going forward, right? Because there is none. It's the internal motivation that pushes you forward.
You get out of the cage, they give you your bag, and you go get on a van, and they send you back to the hotel. They're like, "Get the fuck out of here! We don't want to see you."
Right, man. Your knee, was that something that you noticed got injured during the fight, or did it something that kind of clicked in after the fight that you felt it?
Oh no! He had that heel hook nice and tight at the end of the first round, and
Okay.
again at the end of it, right there at the third. Both times my knee started popping when he cranked on it. So
Yeah.
I've got some damage to my ACL on my right knee, and then I've got some damage to my PCL on my left knee. And thankfully, no surgery, just lots of strength and conditioning and physical therapy on that to get everything strong right around there.
When that happens at the end of the first round, obviously the fight continues. How difficult was it for you to block that out of your head, to not constantly think about it? Because I'm assuming it wouldn't be optimal to think about it.
No, so I didn't sit down in between any of the rounds during that fight for that reason. I didn't want to sit down and like deload my knee and then stand back up and have it have gotten a lot tighter. So I stood between every round just to make sure that my knee didn't tighten up or stiffen up in between rounds. So, I mean, outside of that, the adrenaline's pumping. You're not really thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm throwing those leg kicks and I'm like, well, that's going to hurt tomorrow. But right now it's feeling pretty good. So it's like the adrenaline takes care of so much of that.
Yeah, man. And what's your timetable for fully healed on that knee?
I would say I just got a timeline from my physical therapist, but we're looking to get back full speed, full-time training in like the next 3 weeks.
Wow.
So I just put in, I'm adding in my strength and conditioning next week. I started hitting pads this week. I started seeing my clients again this week, so I'm doing pad work with them, which is still like, it's not super strenuous, but it's tiring out my knee. So I know that like it's getting stronger, but it's still not ready to be pushed the way I want it to be. So we're just layering in one new training regimen a week. So it was pad work last week with me doing pad work. Next week's going to be physical therapy. The following week's going to be boxing and Muay Thai. And then finally we'll add the like rolling with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and grappling.
Right. So I guess in total, it was probably about like a 6-week total recovery. I'm trying to date it back to your last fight, 6, 8, 7 weeks.
Yeah, I would say like, I think it would be, so I think I fought, we're coming up on 4 weeks ago. So I'm looking at another, so it'd be like 7 or 8 weeks maybe. Gotcha. By the time I'm done. They told me 10, they said expect 10 weeks. So maybe I'm a little ahead of schedule, or maybe I'm looking at my schedule wrong, but right. I think in the next month I'll be back full time.
I mean, probably the most obvious thing I can say is injuries suck, but more specifically for me, the amount of injuries that I've gone through, and every time the mental toll that it took on me for a physical injury, and by mental toll, I mean having to sit on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that takes extreme patience and extreme discipline. And I mean, hats off to you for it, man. Because even just a week for me that I can't train or I can't go play tennis or something, like I'm going crazy in my house, and it's still trying to kind of figure out on my own, like how do I not go crazy when I can't do the physical things I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It just sucks. Like it was unfortunate. I came home and my girlfriend had a possible like COVID exposure. So we were waiting for that person to have their test, and we were waiting for her test to come back negative. And we live in the same house. So I was potentially, not compromised. That's not the right word, but we had to wait for all these COVID tests to come back. So I kind of had like quarantine to my house. And then the following week, my girlfriend was off of vacation. So we didn't really leave the house much that next week anyways. And then the third week, my truck was in the shop. So I was like 3 weeks stuck in my house, like going stir crazy, just doing like an hour to 2 hours of physical therapy every day, which is very low intensity. Sure. And I was just like, I need to get out of here. I'm going to lose my mind. Like I gotta go see my gym people. I need to go hang out with my training family for a little bit. Like I feel that pain for sure.
Is there anything that you have, because I think another misconception some people have of professional athletes is that like this is their life 24/7, which I think it is to an extent, but I also think it's important for professional athletes that when it's necessary to take that step back and enjoy things outside of fighting to keep their mind recharged and to refresh their mind and their body. For you personally, what are some of those things? I don't know if you have any passions or hobbies, or like, I think I saw you had a child, like a younger child, was it?
No kids. No,
No
my
kids.
brother
Okay,
has.
then.
I have a niece.
Gotcha. It was your niece
She's
I saw on
super
your
sweet.
gram, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we get down there every couple of weeks to see my brother, his wife, my mom, and my niece, which is awesome. But it's me, my girlfriend, my dog. I mean, I love we spoil the hell out of my dog. We treat her like a kid. She's never home alone. She comes with me everywhere if I'm not like going to work or something, you know. But yeah, I mean, I love what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I did more yoga. I wish I meditated more to kind of balance everything out. And if I just got a little more disciplined, I could probably get it into my routine. But
Right.
you only get 24 hours a day and so much sleep. So
That's the thing. We need more hours in this day because
or like,
I try to fit in yoga, and like I haven't, like I'll do it for a couple of days, and then that third or fourth day it kind of falls off because like I got stuff to do and I got a job and I got training and whatnot, and then it just spirals after that. But I mean, that yoga, like if I could recommend one thing for people out there, that's the perfect blend of like mental and physical health and stretching and meditation, and it's all combined into one. It's crazy how powerful that is.
It helps. I mean, I know what my mind is like when I'm regularly going to a yoga practice, and it's probably been 3 years since I've been to a yoga class, but there were periods where I was going on a regular basis for like a year, and it was amazing. And then it would be like a couple months, and then a couple months, and then a couple months, and now it just hasn't. I haven't picked it back up yet, but I would like to. But that hot power flow is awesome.
That hot yoga you were doing then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been 27 years since I've been to a class, and I'm 27 years old, so I've never been to a class, but I did like, I just do kind of yoga in my house, watching YouTube videos and whatnot. And even just like kind of at the end, when you lay in that, I'm going to butcher this name, but Shavasana, I guess, where you just kind of lay on the ground, and they kind of go through like, here, you feel your toes, you feel your ankles, your calves. And I can actually feel it kind of moving up my body. And it's like that out of body experience. Right. And I think it's hard to explain until somebody goes through it. But man, that's the one thing that I always recommend to people. Like, I think it's the perfect mix of physical and mental health.
Definitely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
For you, what's I guess the next fight plan for you? Do you have something cooking, or are you just waiting? I know you're kind of doing some rehab right now, but what's that looking
so
like?
They gave me a medical suspension the night of the fight because of my knee. Once they saw my MRI on my knees, they said, see the original suspension through, and then which I think like maybe that was what the 10 weeks was that I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah.
But once I can get that lifted, once my knee's healthy again, and then we can get scheduled to fight. So I'm hoping to be scheduled sometime in March.
Yeah. Hopefully too. I mean, COVID, it's probably not going to be gone by then, of course, but it'll be relaxed a bit. I'm not sure if like all the COVID procedures and stuff, if that messed around with your pre-match routine or whatever. Because I know there's probably a lot of restrictions. You can only be certain people in certain rooms and whatnot. What was that kind of experience like for you, and how did you deal with those changes?
So, all I really know with my UFC experience has been since the lockdown or since the pandemic. So I only know what it's like to be in the bubble, and they've done a really good job. They rented out a whole like a Hilton residence in. They put one corner in one tower, another corner in the other. Each fighter has 3 suites, 2 of them to live in, and then one of them's a training room. So like they do it up nice. They take care of you. You can Grubhub, Uber Eats, anything. They'll deliver it, to your hotel. They'll deliver it to the UFC people. They'll bring it over to your tower. They provide shuttles like to and from Whole Foods to run errands and whatnot. Like, from what I've seen, it's like it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
They take care of everything as much as they can.
And that's got to help a lot with you feeling comfortable and making you almost feel like this COVID thing isn't affecting things that are going on, trying to keep everything, as routine as possible for you. Because I know for me, if it was more of a sketchy situation, that would be all that I could think about, and it would definitely affect my performance.
Yeah, they try to remove as much as stressful as it is with like some of the ridiculous rules that they have. Like, they're just doing what the state athletic commission wants them to do, which is allowing them to put on the fight. So like, everybody's in an uncomfortable position, and just accepting that is going to make it a lot easier dealing with all of the, the precautions. It's like, if we're not doing it this way, we're not doing it at all. So we might as well do it this way so we can do it.
For sure, man. For sure. I have this game I like to play on I don't even want to call it a game. How I like to end off the podcast is I have a collection of sports psychology quotes. I have 23 of them. And if you don't mind picking a number between 1 and 23, and I'll read you the quote. And I just want you to kind of reflect on it a bit, and maybe a point in your career where the quote kind of really rings true to you.
Let's say 19.
19. This is from Tom Brady. Obviously, everyone knows who Tom Brady is. I mean,
there we go. That's fitting. I'm in New England. Here we go.
There you go. He said, "If you don't believe in yourself, why is anyone else going to believe in you?"
Oh, I mean, that should resonate with everybody, at least anybody with half a brain, hopefully. But I mean, straight up, like it's been told to you since you're a kid, you can do whatever you want as long as you believe in yourself. So much where it's been like cliche where you're like, all right, buddy, go after yourself. Like, of course I can do whatever I want if I believe in myself. But at the end of the day, like, it can be reduced to that simple of a statement. Right. As long as you believe in yourself and you're passionate about what you're doing, like, there's no stopping what you're able to do. And then on that same note, you're living in your truth, which is a big thing that people can, like we were talking about, like energy, like people can pick up on that stuff. Like, if you're living in your truth and you're being passionate about what you're here to do or what you believe you're here to do, other people will notice and other people will take note. And it's just like, it's hard to describe, because it's more of like a presence that's known when someone is doing what they believe in, versus someone that is doing what they think they should be doing, which I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that rat race as well, where it was like me, I went to a private high school, went to a nice college, got a business degree, had no idea what I wanted to do. Now I'm in the UFC. My marketing degree has helped me brand myself and get sponsors and whatnot. But like, looking back on it, like, I probably should have I probably would have much more enjoyed, going into like sports science and physical therapy, and like also working with athletes to stay in this field after I'm done fighting, have something along those lines to fall back on. You know what I mean? Like, granted, I do have a college degree and I can go do whatever the hell I want. I've got 2 of them. It's awesome. But, to see someone that actually believes in themselves, like, it's just a knowing that you'll pick up on, I guess.
And yeah, and that's, I think, so relevant today, obviously, with the explosion of social media and Instagram. I mean, it's I guess more of unspoken truth that, like, most of the time when people post on Instagram, you just see the highlights of their life, right? You don't see the behind the scenes stuff. And sometimes you can tell when someone's being fake and when they're not being fake on social media. And I think it's 10 times more apparent in person. And it kind of reminded me too, we were talking about getting your marketing degree, and now you kind of use that for your brand exposure and whatnot as a fighter. I think it's also another important lesson for people to look at, try to find that positive thing that comes out from anything in your life. Because I think it would be easy for somebody in your position to look at that marketing degree as a waste of time. But it's about having that mindset that everything that you've gone through in life, even though at that point, you probably didn't know it was going to help you as a UFC fighter, in the grand scheme of things, it probably all did.
Most definitely. Yeah. Without a doubt, and it was great. Like, I got to see it firsthand because I went to college, business degree, marketing and management, and my younger brother, he didn't, and he was fighting with me as well for the first half of my career. And it was like, I'm like, dude, let's go get sponsors. And he's like, how the hell are we going to do that? And I'm like, okay, we got to do this, X, Y, and Z. We're going to make t-shirts. We're going to get the sponsors to raise money to make the t-shirts printed. And then we're going to sell the t-shirts to raise money to like help us pay for this. And like, we're going to send, like, it was just, he had no idea that anything like that, we could do anything like that. You know what I mean? And it was just cool to be able to see putting like a marketing plan and a strategy to work and seeing like a direct return on it to help keep us training as much as we wanted to.
Yeah. And that stuff's a grind, man, especially like when you first start marketing yourself and you're not as well known as you were today or are today. Like that, I think for any athlete can attest to that. Like that first marketing endeavor, unless you're someone like Zion Williamson, or you're just known at 15 as the next LeBron James. But like other than that, like it's a grind. And I think it really does take that internal motivation and that passion and love for the sport and what you're doing to push you. Because if you are motivated for external factors, I mean, I think anybody can attest to it. Their first couple marketing campaigns may not go as well as they thought it would.
Oh yeah. No, I totally get you there.
Anyways, man, I appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your knowledge between sports psychology side of MMA, because like I said, some of the more exciting fights I've seen, you've been involved in them. And I really respect your approach to MMA and to hear kind of a bit about the behind the scenes of how you get yourself mentally ready for fights and training every day. I think it's not only been helpful for myself, but would be helpful for any kid or athlete that listens to this looking for some inspiration.
Oh, hell yeah. I had a blast.
Awesome, dude. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. I'll speak to you soon.
You too. Thank you.